Welcome back to Azeem USA. We are interrupting our usual programming with a breaking news emergency out of the United Kingdom, a fast-moving, deadly outbreak of meningitis B. The epicenter of this crisis is the historic city of Canterbury, specifically radiating outward from the University of Kent. Right now, extreme panic is gripping the local student body, as health officials scramble to trace contacts and contain the spread. This is a highly aggressive bacterial infection that targets the protective membranes surrounding the brain and spinal cord. In a matter of days, it has hospitalized dozens of healthy young adults and tragically claimed the lives of at least 2 students. Before we map out the timeline and the data, I want to remind you that independent journalism relies on your support. If you value these rapid response updates, please use Super Chat, drop a super thanks, or hit that join button below to keep this channel running. As students begin dispersing for the Easter break, a single cluster in the southeast risks becoming a national tracing challenge within the next 48 hours. To understand how the infection multiplied so quickly, we have to look at the first weekend of March. Epidemiologists traced the primary transmission event to a popular 3-story nightclub in Canterbury called Club Chemistry between March 5th and the 7th. Over that weekend, roughly 4,800 people moved through the venue. In a high-density environment with heavy music and dancing, prolonged close contact is unavoidable. Behaviors like kissing, shouting over music, or sharing vapes and drinks create direct, highly efficient pathways for respiratory droplets to transfer the bacteria. Researchers suspect this cluster was ignited by a supershudder, an asymptomatic individual carrying a high bacterial density in their throat, capable of infecting dozens. The fallout was immediate. Within days, authorities recorded 34 cases, 23 confirmed, and 2 students tragically lost their lives. When you pack thousands of young adults into a confined, highly social space, you create the optimal incubator for this specific bacterial strain. A single localized carrier can trigger a regional medical emergency almost overnight. Once the cluster was identified, the UK Health Security Agency, or UKHSA, launched an aggressive containment protocol to lock down the campus and treat students. The campus shifted into a triage zone, exams were cancelled, and thousands of students formed massive queues outside the sports halls, wearing face masks while waiting for emergency treatment. Phase 1 of their counterattack was chemical eradication. Medical teams distributed over 11,000 doses of ciprofloxacin. This is a powerful, single-dose antibiotic that wipes out the bacterial carriage in the throat and stops the chain of transmission dead in its tracks. Phase 2 focused on long-term biological defense. The UKHSA administered over 8,000 doses of the Bexsero vaccine. Because the routine childhood immunization for meningitis B only began in 2015, today's university students missed out, leaving a massive generational immunity gap that the bacteria easily exploited. These treatments serve distinct medical roles. The antibiotics act as an immediate circuit breaker by clearing the bacteria from the throat to stop active transmission, while the vaccines provide the biological defense needed to bridge the long-term immunity gap. The containment effort is now racing against the calendar. With the Easter holiday arriving, thousands of potentially infected asymptomatic students are leaving campus and traveling back to their hometowns across the country. The bacteria has already breached the initial containment zone. Officials have tracked confirmed cases linked directly to the Kent outbreak inside London, and at least 1 infected exchange student traveled as far as Paris, France. Because this pathogen is actively moving across borders, we need to detail the early warning signs of meningitis B, which are incredibly deceptive. This diagram shows exactly why the disease is so lethal to university demographics. The initial symptoms, sudden high fever, severe headache, nausea, and sensitivity to light, perfectly mimic a bad case of the flu or a severe hangover. The key differentiators to look for are a stiff neck and abnormally cold hands and feet. You have likely heard about the classic meningitis rash, a blotchy red pattern that doesn't fade when you press a glass against it. That is a late-stage sign of advanced blood poisoning. Waiting for it to appear is a fatal mistake. Because meningitis B disguises itself as common ailments, but can kill a healthy adult within hours, early recognition is everything. If you suspect an infection, immediate emergency medical care is your only reliable defense. UK health officials maintain that the risk to the wider general public remains low.
However, extreme vigilance is absolutely mandatory for any families with university students returning home for the holidays. Thank you for tuning in to this urgent Azeem USA briefing. We will keep tracking this outbreak and provide updates as new clinical data emerges. If you found this report valuable, please drop a super thanks below, use Super Chat in our future live streams, and hit the join, like, and subscribe buttons. Your direct financial support of independent journalism is exactly what makes these rapid response, life-saving public health briefings possible. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one.